Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our Family Saturday session here at Capital Recovery Center. My name is Craig. I am one of your recovery coaches today, and we have a lovely guest who's going to be sharing some great information. And the goal is to help people uh, dealing with addiction, whether it be a family member or them themselves. So, you want to introduce yourself?
Good afternoon. My name is Dawn. I'm also a recovery coach with the Row Unit and Recovery on Wheels.
Mm-hmm.
Good morning, I'm Raina. I'm one of the recovery coaches here at Capital Recovery.
Yeah,
Thanks for joining us on a Saturday.
Saturday. And so, before we get into the discussion, I want to tell you about what's going on in our community. All right. And so today, if you haven't already been out to the Walk for Wellness, which is taking place already today here in the great city of Bridgeton, it started at 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. You still have time to go out. They have a Walk for Wellness at the Bridgeton High School. And so whoever go out there, there's going to be some healthcare providers, Ascender, Integrated Health, New Jersey Family Success Center, and Spirit. They are expected to be out there, and anyone that get vaccinated, they will receive a $25 gift card for ShopRite. All right, in Upper Deerfield. All right, we got that taken care of. So now what we want to talk about on Monday, on the 23rd, please be advised that our Row Unit will be out in the community, helping and providing services. And on Wednesday,
It'll be Thursday.
it's going to be on Thursday. Thank you. She know better than I do. We're going to be at the Spirit and Truth 7th and Wood Street, right off of Landis. We're going to be out there. There's going to be expected to be out there showers, haircuts, and healthcare providers as well. All right. Also, stay tuned on Tuesday. We're going to be open from 8:30 to 9 p.m. And so we're going to have groups, hybrid groups such as this. And what we're going to be doing at 2 p.m., coffee and conversation. At 5, we're going to be doing our MIT, men in training, mentoring. And then at 7, we're going to be doing our Gratitude Tuesday, none other than myself at 5, at 7, Raina at 7. All right. And so all of that said and done. Now we're going to get into the meat and potatoes of why we're here. And let me just show you what this thing is, what this meeting is all about. I'm going to post that. It says Capital Recovery Center Family Meeting. You are not alone in your need for support. And if you can see right there, it's talk about spouse, partners, child, parent, sibling, grandparent, grandchild, friend. And it says right there, it says, some research show that when people enter a recovery program, their chances for success are improved when they are supported by family members who are in a family recovery program. And so that's our goal, to help each person one family at a time. And so if you would like to contact us, please contact us at 856-391-7449 or 1-800-236-2448. And so with that said, we're going to get right into it. All right, how you feel today, Karen?
I'm doing.
Dawn.
I'm doing good.
You doing good, Dawn?
I am. And
Even though I chopped your name all up?
that's okay.
All right, and so Dawn is here, and we're glad to have her here. And so we're talking about addiction and family relationship, the impact on family. And so without further ado, if you are ready, Dawn, Miss Dawn.
I'm just gonna come in and
Yeah.
take over for you.
Please.
Sounds good.
So I think, I just want to come off of that family week thing that you guys are doing.
Mm-hmm.
Because as we were talking earlier, for me, when I started this with my family and my children, I was a single mom and I had, my children.
Mm-hmm.
And at that time, I didn't have any support.
Wow. Wow.
So I had to kind of go off of my own motherly instincts and what are you going to do?
Okay. Okay.
Right.
Mm.
And I think that today, the whole reason I got involved with, the recovery aspect
Mm-hmm.
was not for my own sake or myself, but to help other families and parents understand.
What it's like to be on both spectrum.
Absolutely, because I think that, we as parents, we love our children. And as I said, it's a very fine line in loving them and enabling them.
Wow. That's so important.
And I think also that loving and enabling, but there's also another aspect to that comes, and we also, as their parents, have to be able to love them and support them
And in their recovery.
in their recovery.
Wow. Mm-hmm.
Because when they're in active addiction, they're not thinking about the family, they're thinking about themselves.
Themselves. That's right.
And
Absolutely.
it's always about where am I going to get the next drug from? How am I going to keep this life going?
Mm-hmm.
But as a parent, I know that from my own self, when my children were going through it in the early stages, I'm saying early stages up to a good 10 years in,
Mm-hmm.
10 even plus years, that I thought it was best to take care of them.
Okay. When they was in their
Active addiction.
active addiction. Okay.
Because we're parents, right? So if our kids get cold, we want to treat,
Shelter.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
we want to shelter, we want to love.
Mm-hmm.
When they're in an active addiction, we see this, but we don't realize unless you are supported and you have something like ROW or Capital Recovery
Mm-hmm.
that is giving that support system.
Yeah.
For me, I didn't realize that addiction was a disease.
Okay. Okay.
I just thought it was my family members who just did what they did,
Going through a phase.
go into a phase. I didn't realize that it really was a sickness.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but as a mom in the family, I was that main person, right? So for me, it was about taking care of them,
Mm-hmm.
helping them, trying to get them to realize what they were doing.
Right.
Because early on, I thought that they could just stop.
Mm-hmm.
And you can just stop this. You don't have to do this anymore, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Um,
What was the? I don't mean to interrupt you, Dawn, because I know you're on the road. What was the behavior like at the inside the home and outside the home? If you can share a little bit about that.
well, inside the home, it was very stressed.
Mm.
The children, I mean, my kids vary in age, so we went through different ages.
Okay.
So if the eldest was doing his thing, it was affecting inside the house, it was affecting me, it was affecting the two younger.
The young, because everybody watching.
Right.
Yeah.
Then you go through the phases with each child, but eventually I had the two younger, and the house at that point got just really angry, if that's a good way of putting it.
Yeah.
Emotion. That's an adequate emotion.
It was a very angry, stressed time.
Mhm.
I had kids who were having kids, who were in active addiction. One is going in and out of jail. The other one is robbing and stealing. all along in a process of being a parent and a single parent, saying, how do I handle all of this and get them help?
Right.
And there's your fine line of love and enabling, because for a lot of years, I enabled my kids to live like that.
Now, because I read an article where it says that parents who have a child or loved one who's going through that stage of addiction, sometimes blame themselves. Have you ever felt guilt, like something that you, but it really is not you?
I know my mother has.
Right, there can be outside influences.
She's like, where did I go wrong?
Yeah, and I hear that.
Well, I know for me, absolutely, I carried guilt for a long time. And I believe, I think my guilt was the breakup of the marriage and their father no longer being involved.
Wow.
So I carried a lot of guilt, and it did take a very long time for me to finally say, I'm not guilty anymore. I'm done now.
Right.
Like you're grown up enough to realize that this is the way it is.
Yeah. So now you're taking back control of your life.
Absolutely. Especially with my younger son, because that was a big thing for him. And that's exactly who I said it to. I just woke up one day and he was in that space, and I was like, look, I'm not guilty anymore. But I think that as parents, we all have to feel that moment of, what did I do wrong?
Yeah, because now you're feeling a disconnect. When so many years you felt a connection, now you feel there's a disconnect.
Absolutely, because they're disconnected. If you ask me, when I see my kids today in functioning life, running good businesses, living their best lives, I can now look back and say, I did nothing wrong.
Yeah, resiliency to bounce back from where they were to what is basically a 3-stage, where they once were from initial stage to going through their addiction, now to their resiliency of sobriety, recovery.
So good.
It's so good.
Here's my only thing I can say to parents, and this is what I had to learn in this process. There comes a time where, as a parent or parents, we have to make a decision. Do we want our child to die, or do we want them to live? And I found in my own experience that it came to a point where I had to turn away. Stop enabling my children and make them realize the impact that the drugs were doing to their life.
Yeah.
Because I feel like, as a parent, when we're continuously housing them and feeding them and cleaning up after them and supporting them, and that's financial support, not loving support. They don't really have to worry about much.
Yeah.
Consequence.
No,
Yeah.
until they're out on the street. And that's where I had to get,
That was a hard decision, I can imagine.
and it hurts.
It hurt.
Yeah.
It hurts.
And it hurt every day until you can get to a place, unfortunately, one of my children finally just decided to get the treatment, get help, and move on. One of my other ones had to go to state prison to wake up and have to take a look at, mom's not here.
Mhm.
She's not here for me anymore. And we,
Safety net.
Yeah, yeah.
And-
Yeah.
I was sharing with you earlier how that child, now a grown man, how he had just literally had said that to another family member, that if I did not say no to him at those moments, he doesn't know where he would be right now.
He appreciate your love on both ends, you know, to be there when he was going through it
Yes.
and be there once he came out of it.
Yes.
And that's the hope right there, that they can realize that what you did, because at the time, I'm sure they were angry.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
I know how I felt when, people started shutting me out.
Mm-hmm.
You get angry and blame them and everything else, but then to be able to like come to a point where they're like, you know what, you did what was best.
Yeah,
And to be able to appreciate that, that's that hope right there.
yeah.
And
That's a
true.
bonus. You know, I was sharing with you, both of you earlier, that I encountered a mother who was struggling with a child while I was at the Rhode Violent police station, and she was sharing with me that her child was going through different stages of addiction. And she said that to her best ability, only thing she knew he was doing was marijuana. And she says she don't want to kick him out. He also was struggling with mental illness. She says when he's on the drugs, he's fine. But when he's not, he's become disruptive and violent. And I asked the question, I said, well, how do he get the drug? And you was talking about the enabling aspect. She said, well, I give him money and he go get it. And he sit out on the back. And I said, wow. And so I just was on the phone with her prior to us getting on. She said, I asked my son what other things that he's using. And he started revealing more than what she thought he was doing.
Which is usually the case.
Usually the case, because I know when I was in my state of addiction, I was very manipulative, cunning, baffling, whereas I would only downplay the stuff that I was actually using because I didn't want nobody,
Right.
that I'm an addict or I'm a person that's struggling with a disease and that I need help. Until I got the help, I realized that I wasn't a bad person. I was just making some bad decisions, and a lot of people, family members, and I'm quite sure they know their child, the good stage of the child. And so when they're making bad decisions, it hurts. It gotta hurt.
Craig, when you said that he started to reveal, it just made me feel really good inside, because if he's revealing, because let's be real, I would never be able to go to one of my kids back in that place and say, you're doing this, because they would deny it, manipulate the whole thing. So if they're revealing, to me, that's saying, I want you to help me.
Yes, and that's what she was saying.
Yeah.
Because I know me, I've done my share of drugs. Never have I become addicted. But I knew, and it was me, because I would always, when I wanted my mom to know something, I kind of brought it up in a conversation and even downplayed that it was even me, just so she could give me that information. I need help, right?
Yeah.
So I just, listen, I think that that's a great sign. I think that mother should really take that and, work with the people here, get him the mental health help that he needs.
Absolutely.
And then be able to work on building him back up.
Yeah. And that's part of the 5 stages of change that we often talk about. First, the child being the pre-contemplation stage.
Yes.
And so now he's basically in the contemplation stage. And so, once he began to, prepare for some action, then we could get him further along to maintain. So he's, I believe he's on the right track, but a lot of people go through the pre-contemplation, they're not ready. I want to go, but not right now,
Not right
you know.
now. Don't we hear that all the time?
That's right. And the
I'm
most
gonna
that we
do this, but not today. I have to do this or go talk to this person, and
Yeah.
we're like, wow.
And so we were talking about earlier about support groups for parents
Hmm.
or family members.
Mhm.
Randy, you was talking about Al-Anon.
Yeah, there's not really anything in this area. There's no Al-Anon in Cumberland County, that sort of thing. So what we're hoping to do is start to build to give families that support that they need. Give them a place to come and talk to other, parents or, you know what I mean, whatever the family dynamic is, to know that they're not alone. There is support. You can get through this, and like your children or sibling or whatever it is, you know what I mean, you can get through it. So
Yeah, and so that's basically, I believe that's what this hybrid meetings is all about. Every third Saturday from 11 to 2, right? Fran? That we're going to be here to, the doors will be open to have families come here as a support group mechanism, and to lean on one another, to share like Ms. Dawn is doing.
I think that's great.
Yeah.
I think it would be really, I think that is so needed.
Yes, yeah.
Because like I said, I didn't know back then. And I went through 10 years plus, probably closer to 20, struggling and through this with my own family, within my family. And I just think that having an outlet to be able to come in
Yeah,
and talk to other family members, other parents
yeah.
that have to, to get the information and a community to know I am not alone in this.
Yeah.
because it really is a family disease. Like my sister she lives out of state, and it affected her. Like, you know what I mean? Just knowing that, like, worrying about me and, that type of thing. So sometimes, like, families don't even realize, or the addict especially doesn't realize how, like, far that, like, ripple goes out and how much it affects, like, the people around you.
And like me, myself, I went to a PC community, was called a TC community, therapeutic community, where we did, it was basically a peer community, whereas people just like myself, we was able to sit around in a group setting and share some information. And you'd be amazed how much similarity that you may have with another person. But you don't even actually know this person or their background. You just getting to know them, and they sharing things that you say, wow, I did that before. Or my parent, was going through the same thing. And now we're making the connection. So we're basically supporting each other by, open up, sharing, let them know you're not alone. And that's what the goal here is, to basically let people know here in Cumberland County, you're not alone, no matter if it's your child, your brother, your sister, your parent. Just be willing and open to be able to share some of the things that you may go on through, or maybe some things you went through and that you made it successfully, because we don't want to lose nobody, no one, to substance use disorders, because here it is, the fentanyl is very real. It's very real. And like I was telling the lady, that they are mixing so much fentanyl, which is, I believe, 10 times deadly than the stuff they used to put in when I was using drugs. And so if we can help someone, if you would like to be a part of what we're doing, call that number on the screen that's floating, 856-391-7449, or our hotline, 1-800-236-2448. And as it says, how can we help you with your recovery today? All right, this edition today, we're talking about addiction and family relationship, the impact on family. Ms. Dawn has willingly and openly shared. If there's anything else that you would like to,
I think I just want to iterate on like two things that Raina and you said. For Raina, she said how, that rippling effect, it goes through the whole family.
the whole family.
And I have had statements that have been thrown at me and said, you don't know because you weren't even there. Ooh.
Mm.
And I can honestly say I've always come back and said, you don't know, because when you did it, you took us all with you.
Mm.
You took the whole family. And then Craig, you said something about whether it be your parent, and we're sitting here today, parents speaking about kids.
Right.
And I think that we really need to reach out because there are a lot of kids that are dealing with parents that are addicts.
Yeah.
And, how does that affect them in their daily life today or even in the future?
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think that's really important that, we understand that family dynamics can come in any way,
That's
right?
right.
Absolutely.
That's
Like,
right.
my children are grown at this point, and I've been able to reestablish relationships and build relationships with them, but there is still that resentment and fear and anger because of what happened.
What happened in the
So,
past.
even though things are on the mend, they still need support.
Absolutely. And oftentimes, especially the population that we deal with, whether it be someone on drugs or someone coming out of incarceration, a lot of children are resentful of their parents who may be on drugs because they probably missed a birthday, could have missed a ball game, could have missed a talent show, things of that nature, not knowing that, mommy or daddy was struggling with a disease.
And I think the most important one that I personally have heard, and I've heard other people share, is why don't you love me? Why don't you love me enough to stop?
Right. Yeah.
And trying to explain that that love's there.
Yeah.
It's just there's something else that is over
Yeah.
and it's
Mhm.
that's I think the hardest part.
Yeah. And so we, during our MIT mentoring, we talk about rebuilding the family structure. That's so important. And I know Raina, when they do their Gratitude Tuesday, speaks about what are you grateful for. And so what we're talking about today, I believe all of that ties in to, rebuilding, restructuring the family, and what are you grateful for. Ms. Dawn, you said that your children are doing so much better.
Yes.
And that they are grateful. One of them said, I'm glad that, you put your foot down so I can really see, that you really love me enough to be with me while I was going through it and be with me when I came out of it.
Absolutely. I think that's that, when we get to a point where we have to turn away.
Mm-hmm.
But I also think that you have to be able to keep that line open that says, I might have turned away, but I still love you.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that support system is very important, even today.
Absolutely. I agree 100%. There's a lot of people who come out of incarceration, even though some people have burned their bridges, severed some ties in their relationship, whereas the family unit is not together anymore. and they might not have a net support, a family support network, whereas they can rely upon a family member, you know, and they may not be able to make a phone call. They may not be able to come lay their head, you know, and so those who are fortunate to have a support network, you know, keep that network strong. But if you don't have a family net support work, that's why we're here at Capital Recovery Center and talking about things like this. We could connect them to some type of support network, get you back. And so hopefully those bridges that you torn down, the relationship that you probably have ruined, hopefully, prayerfully, is not totally destroyed, and we can help you get back on track. And so, yeah. So we are so grateful that you came,
Yeah, thank you.
and
Well,
we
thank you.
appreciate you so much for not only sharing your story, but what you do as a recovery coach. Let me put a title on. Let me put some respect on your title. A certified,
That's right. Don't forget.
a certified recovery coach, and we all are certified in our field and what we do. And so we are working on building bridges, building family structure. And so we thank you for coming. And if anybody wants to be a part of what we're doing here at Capital Recovery Center, and as you see our motto, how can we help you with your recovery today? Please contact this number 856-391-7449 or 1-800-236-2448. And so with that said, we're gonna sign off. Have a great day.
Have a good weekend.
All right.